Thank you all for watching Girl Night Stands. I'm Alexandra Mitchell. I'm the programming manager at SeriesFest, and I'm joined with Jenna Lorenzo, who is the creator, writer, director, lead actress in this piece. Thank you for joining us, Jenna.
Thanks for having me and being part of SeriesFest. So exciting.
Oh, wonderful. My first question is pretty simple. What was the inspiration for this piece?
Yeah, I mean, I originally Girl Night Stand came because I was trying to get my feature film Lesbon made.
Mm.
And after a long time of trying to attach talent, I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. And then I just show what that would look like. And I had this idea of a short called Girl Night Stand. And it just kind of came at me. It was like the idea hit me in the head, sort of. And so I wrote it. And then I found these amazing collaborators. Some were new, some I've worked with forever. And we shot it in Jersey City over a 2-day period.
Wow. And so you came out with the first part of Girl Night Stand, and then years later, you come out with a chapter 2. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to return to the project?
Yeah, so there were like a few reasons why. The first reason was when the first Girl Night Stand went viral in like a really big way. So it has like over 16 million views
Wow.
to date. And I really felt grateful to the fans and their enthusiasm because that was what propelled Lesbom moving forward. And I really wanted to just like create something positive and uplifting with a happy ending this year that felt like so heavy. And I had thought about revisiting these two characters, but honestly, the idea of like masks and like seeing people in masks really inspired this like curiosity of exploring what it means to drop masks, both figuratively and literally, emotionally, and also when there's like high stakes of like a pandemic. And so I love the idea of revisiting these two characters after a period of time with all this sort of bottled up energy of not only expectation, but anxiety of like this past year and seeing how they collided. I've always wanted to turn this project into something, into like a longer format for TV. And I thought if I was going to do that at this point, I'd need to revisit these two characters years later and sort of dive more deeply into their characters and maybe what they do professionally and promising where a relationship could potentially go.
Great. I love that you talked about even just like delving into the characters professionally. It's such a subtle line that comes up, but it means a lot. And so I'd love to talk about how you develop these characters, especially coming into chapter 2, and what did you discover about them and where you see them going?
Yeah, I think that in the first one very much Sarah is the driving force, and now it's years later. And when I was talking to Meryl, who plays the opposite, who plays Sarah, she and I had talked about like where are these characters now? How would the dynamic shift? And it really sparked this idea of like, well, now my character, you have to see sort of her taking the initiative, see where that growth is. Still, definitely not as slick as Sarah, but like seeing how the potential for an ongoing push and pull that could be an engine for something that is longer format wise. And I like that tension of characters sort of breaking expectations and pushing up against each other in ways that surprise themselves and each other.
And then, making any kind of production comes with challenges.
Yeah.
I'd love to know a little bit, what challenges did you run into maybe the first time that was different from when you did chapter 2?
Yeah, well, chapter 2 we shot during the pandemic, which was like a whole, we just used minimal people, like bare skeleton crew, and getting tested and following all those safety protocols, just like it's essential. It's just a whole different set of practices now and standards. And a lot of planning is involved. The first one, it was much easier to be very run and gun. And while the
Mhm.
second one was also, in many ways, there was just a lot of safety to be concerned about. But like shooting in Jersey City, you gotta be scrappy about it. But luckily, there's a lot of people who are supportive for both of Girl Night Stand and like the ice cream place. Um, like for the first one, I kept buying ice cream to eat, so I was like indulging, and I was also indulging and enjoying that while we were shooting, but also supporting a local a local endeavor.
Yeah, it worked all the way around for everyone.
Yeah.
It was a good
Souls were
investment.
fed across the board.
That is great. Wow. What would you say making this project, both parts, what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of it?
the the audience engagement,
Mm.
it's just like, so really the enthusiasm is, I'm just so grateful for, because you just made something you have no idea. And the fact that so many people reach out, with both Girl Night Stand and even my feature, people like to tell me their personal stories. And I love hearing people's stories. So that's been wonderful, getting tidbits of all of that. Like somebody told me that they watched the first one, and then when it was translated into a different language, the woman who translated it and sent it to her, they ended up dating. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best.
Wow.
Yeah. So like hearing stories like that is wonderful. I love that kind of just support and enthusiasm, um, and hopefully leaving behind just like this feeling of happiness and hopefulness.
Wow. Those are the impacts that you never expect. And those are, I mean, as I asked in the question, those are rewarding. You never expect it and it comes back and you just never know.
Yeah, you just never know. And so that has been such a pleasant surprise. And the fact that the audience is from all over the world, uh, I like exploring like the universality of these themes, sexuality aside. And so that's been a really important part of the conversation for me, especially with other projects, and talking about how like we don't need to point to sexuality. It can be something that just is, and the themes within it are really what connects all of us.
Definitely. Human stories
Yeah.
that everyone can relate to. I'd like to touch a little bit on, I mean, as you mentioned, you wear a lot of hats. You have a lot of credits to this piece. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the balance of all of that?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's essential to have a collaborative team of people that you just trust, and you have shorthand, and it's like playing sports. Like you just have your teammates that know that you're going to pass the ball without you telegraphing that you're going to pass the ball. And I've worked with like my cinematographer, Gabriel Stanley, and my editor, Bill Saunders, for since 2011. So we've just
Mm,
worked together forever. And I think because of that, I feel there's like just a lot of trust involved. So when it comes to the acting and stuff, really getting that in my body before we step on set so I can focus on directing. And then when you work with an actress as amazing as Meryl, it just is, there's like a seamlessness to it that is wonderful. But I do think that it's all the team. It's all about the team and the people who are working together.
wow. Well, thank you all. Thank you and your team for producing Girl Night Stand and allowing us to share it with our audience.
No,
Thank you,
thank you.
Jenna.
Thank you so much.